Good evening and welcome to another Mac Cricket Show. Smile on my face, Pakistan finally won a game. And we've got the Desi and the Gora show again. Here we are. Tom is on the line with me as well. And on my right is Mahdi Hussain. Mahdi is our big Pakistan fan and middleman, man in the middle. And welcome to the program. Tom, finally Pakistan won a game.
Well, it's just about perfect timing because if they had not won it today, I probably wouldn't have been on this show, and you probably wouldn't have run it anyway because you'd have been so embarrassed. So, but they thoroughly deserved to win. So well done to Pakistan.
Mahdi, the big Pakistan fan, are you happy today?
I am glad. When England had 2 balls left and there was 12 runs, I said to my dad, I go, Dad, if Pakistan lose today, I'm never watching cricket again. And the next ball, he hit a 6. And my dad looked at me and he goes, son, you know what? I actually want England to win because I'm sick and tired of watching cricket because of you all the time. But you know what? We got there eventually. It was a
So your
tough
dad
match.
really wanted Pakistan lose so you don't have to watch cricket. He doesn't have to watch
Yeah,
cricket.
in my house there's a Sky Sports cricket on 24/7, so I'm watching every cricket game. So there's nothing else on, just cricket, 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 cricket.
Well,
Good for you.
it's a good man in it. What can you ask apart from cricket? I mean, you can watch
No,
every league, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think earlier in the summer you probably would have been bored out of your brain because there was no cricket to watch at all. So fill your boots whilst there's cricket on in the Caribbean now. You can watch that after we finish this chat. And then obviously we got England, Australia coming up, and then there'll be all sorts of other leagues going on around the world. So it's good.
There is. Yep, you're right.
Well, I'm looking forward to. I mean, after tonight, we've been talking about Pakistan. Let's look at the fact that they actually won a game. Really, they actually wanted to win this last game so that they could go back home on a flight and be welcome. Because otherwise, they probably would have got tomatoes for them at the airport. Usually, when Pakistan struggle in away matches and stuff, they tend to go on a late night flight, so there's no fans at the airports. But really, I have to give Pakistan that finally the selectors actually listened to us and brought in Haider. I think you missed that, Tom innings. Young 19-year-old, he came in second ball 6, and he played with the freedom, the first Pakistani batsman to get 50 on his debut.
I've seen him play for Pakistan under 19s, and I think I've seen him previously a couple of times on television, and he strikes me as someone who has a mentality that is regardless of the fear of failure. That doesn't seem to be a blocker for him. If anything, the bigger the stage, the better. And he's obviously very brave and backs himself and plays, as Mohammed Hafeez said in his interview, plays with a great sense of freedom, which any batsman at top level has to do in order to achieve the standards that they would hope to at international level.
Buddy, the biggest partnership between an old man, 39-year-old, and the 19-year-old. 20-year gap between Hafeez and Haider proved to be the vital innings today, vital partnership.
It was a 100 run partnership, well needed for Pakistan, but for us it's some confidence. We don't need to really rely on Babar Azam. We know if Babar Azam gets out, hopefully we have Haider. We have got Professor Mr. Hafeez, but he's probably got a year or two under his belt. So it's good that the selectors are bringing the young talent on board and letting them just play the game. Haider, well played tonight. Played like a mature man. Great innings, and his sixes, especially I think it was his second six, is one of the biggest in Old Trafford, 91 meters, and I was shocked for a 19-year-old. Well played.
Yeah, I think he was fantastic. But then Hafeez came to the party as well. I mean, he had a really good innings the other day as well, and today he did very well as well again, Tom.
Well, in our sort of pre-series prediction, which you were absolutely appallingly bad at, you said that the older guard would not feature at all, and that Pakistan would win 3-0. So, you couldn't have got further from the truth, really. But Mohammed Hafeez should, I suppose, first of all, the selectors should be given a pat on the back to continue to put him in the side, because a few years ago he was pretty embarrassing at white ball cricket for Pakistan, and everyone was calling for his blood. But he made it look very easy. And I thought it was interesting in his post-match interview. He was very quick to heap praise on the management team to allow them to practice power hitting and range hitting, because obviously in T20 that's what you need to do. You need to be able to clear the boundary ropes.
Yeah, and it's important. I think Hafeez, I'm not his big fan. I think he should have gone a long time ago. But seeing the last two innings, maybe he's trying to save his career. Maybe he wants to play in the last T20 World Cup next year. And he isn't bowling at the moment because he's had problems with his bowling. Previously, he's been banned twice. He's had to remodel his, action. What I don't understand why they played Shoaib Malik tonight, because Shoaib Malik could have been left out and they should have brought in a youngster for him as well. He didn't bowl, he didn't bat, so what was the point of playing him?
I have not seen anything from Shoaib Malik. No batting, no bowling, just a fielder. That's it. They could have brought in, was it Kurdil Shah? They could have brought him, given him a try, but it's Pakistan cricket for you.
Maybe it's just a political decision, and maybe it's written into a contract that he's got to, I don't know, get another match appearance before the end of 2020, and that'll be it. I don't know, but it seemed very strange selection, yeah.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it just seemed bizarre that they're still carrying on with Shoaib Malik. Yeah, if he was actually playing, he played the other day and he looked out of form. He wasn't part of the game at all. He struggled, and I still think, despite the fact that Pakistan did put 191 up, there is no power hitters at the end. Hafeez got his 86 not out. The 19th over they picked up 11 runs. Really, for example, the 18th over, Moeen Ali picked up 20 runs. So in terms of power hitting, I can't see anybody from Pakistan side. Shadab was sent in. He didn't do anything. Imad Wasim came in again. He struggled. I really struggle to see why they haven't got somebody in the tail end, who can come in and just get a few runs at the end.
Well, they might not have that talent identified yet at that part of the game at the lower middle order. Whereas England have been shaping this strategy of trying to get to world number one in white ball cricket for both T20 and 50 overs for maybe 3 or 4 years now, and they've had a plan. They've stuck with it. They brought a few new players in, whereas Pakistan seem to be going through a bit of a shift. Still got some of the old guard in, but bringing in new blood as well. And Wasim Akram was delighted, but he was also very quick to point out that just as you said earlier, that if he'd bowled another short pitch delivery outside off stump on that last ball, then England might well have just got away with snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, and we'll be having a very different conversation now. So I thought that was actually really good to hear him say that, as being somebody who's revered across the world, but especially in Pakistan cricket terms, and also to hear Babar Ali, in his interview, say that he bowled a bad ball. So why shouldn't I tell him he bowled a bad ball? All this kind of political correctness. If you're trying, there's a lot of pride at stake, I think, for him and for the team as a whole to win that game, and it was theirs to win after the 19th over was bowled so well by Wahab, and England really were definitely not favourites to win the game going into the 20th over.
Yeah, I think Wahab Riaz, it was important. I was saying the other day, you brought Wahab Riaz in on the tour. He's 35, experienced. Why isn't he playing? There's no point him being in a squad if you're not going to play somebody of that calibre, of that experience. I know he gives runs away, but then, the 19th over proved how experienced he was. He got that run out and then he bowled brilliantly and just turned that game around for Pakistan.
Well, his third and fourth overs, I didn't see his first two, but I started watching it when he came on for his third over, which I think was about the 14th or something like that. And they only got they got 6 or less off that over, and then for his last over they only got 3, and there were 2 wickets, of which the biggest was Moeen Ali. And you could say that Moeen Ali threw England's chances away by getting out. because he didn't really need to hit a boundary. I know the commentators were saying he needs to get a boundary. He didn't. He just needed to get a run, but be in for the 20th over to give England a chance. Whereas when two new batsmen come to the crease and they need 20 runs or whatever it was for the last over, that's almost impossible to do.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think mine did play a brilliant innings, but then that was a crucial wicket because, like you said, if Moeen Ali had got a single and got the other side, and he was the last one in the last over, they probably would have pulled it off. I mean, probably his calculation got wrong, and he got done by a very good ball from Hafeez.
Moeen Ali is a big hitter. If you see him playing in the leagues, he's a big hitter. And when he was on the crease, if we get Moeen Ali out, we've won this match. And eventually, once it was you're right, as you said, Wahab Riaz's over, the last over he bowled, game changer. And that's where experience comes in. And I think that's the reason they have Hafeez and all these experienced players, so they can just, share that knowledge and that experience with the youngsters.
I agree to the point. But I think, Shoaib Malik needs to go. I thought... I don't know what you thought about Sarfaraz being brought in. I know you probably didn't see a whole of the innings.
Sarfaraz was awful.
Sarfaraz wasn't any good. I know some of they were praising him at the end. Yes, he'd saved possibly a 4 and stuff. But Sarfaraz looked really,
he missed
really
a stumping. He missed Moeen Ali's stumping. I think when Moeen Ali was on 4 or 5, he missed the stumping. He kept it in his hand, and he couldn't find the ball. And in that time, Moeen Ali was in the crease, and he missed that. Had he got Moeen Ali out then, it would have been a different game. But Pakistan won at the end. But I think what they're going to do, they are definitely going to have Rizwan in the next game. They've given Sarfaraz a chance. Nah, it didn't work.
Yeah. Also, he also missed behind. There were 4 byes as well, which is went past him. I think had Rizwan been and in the form that he's actually been, that wouldn't have happened.
Well, Rizwan's a far better keeper, isn't he? And also he's batted really well. He was man of the series in the Test series, so it's a bit of a strange one again. Sounds like a political decision. Babar's former captain. He's probably still got influence with some of the management team that the Pakistan brought across this time. But for me, I don't think he's ever been a particularly competent keeper standing up. I think he's been okay standing back, and he's also had a run in with match fixing, hasn't he? So I wouldn't be picking him. I'd be picking Rizwan all the way next time.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think they give him an opportunity because he's a former captain, and there's a big lobby in Pakistan for Sarfaraz to play another game or so, and he actually played, and it showed that there's a big difference between him and Rizwan, and I think Rizwan hands down is the first choice. He should be given the gloves for a short while unless he makes a mistake. But you can have Sarfaraz as a backup, but I can't see him, being the first choice anymore. Not after tonight's performance. Really, there was a difference in terms of behind the stumps. Really made a difference. Yeah.
And I didn't see the England innings obviously because I came in late, but I saw clips of Banton again, who clearly has got an abundance of talent and the right mentality for that kind of elite international cricket. Gregory, for me, hasn't actually lived up to expectations, but I'm hoping that England support him and back him. And then I was pleased for Milan, and obviously Morgan has done well again, albeit the commentators seem to suggest that it was Banton's fault for Morgan's run out. But when I saw the replay, it was Morgan's call. Morgan set off. So, for me, it was Morgan's own responsibility.
Yeah, and I was about to come to that question because you did it before we began the series. The series began. You pointed out Tom Banton and Gregory, and Banton has been brilliant. In all the 3 innings that he's actually played, he was outstanding. And I think the Pakistanis, or the wicket they really wanted after the first game when they'd actually seen him play, was Morgan and Banton first. And he's proved that he's got the talent against very, very cool and calculated player. Fantastic. He seems, comfortable in the international level. Against him, something like that Haider Ali showed. So some of the young players have, proved that they are, fantastic. With the Australians coming up on Friday, Gregory, I think, probably will remain in the squad, but probably won't get a game. I don't think so after tonight. Also, maybe Sam Billings. He had the opportunity, but he struggled as well. Although he got 26, but he wasn't up to it. He just don't look that comfortable tonight.
Yeah, I think it's tough for pretty much for any cricketer who hasn't played anything this season due to the pandemic, just to turn up and be able to tee off straight away as a batsman. And Sam Billings is a touch player. He's a very talented, gifted individual. He has kind of had dips of form when playing for England, but then goes back into T20 blast and smashes it to all corners. So he may not have played if Stokes and Root had been picked, but they seem to be giving a few players a chance, and I like that as part of the selection committee. And for one thing's for sure, Morgan is very uncompromising with his kind of his views. If he thinks you're good enough to be in, he'll back you, and if he thinks you're not, then you're out. That's it. So everyone knows where they stand, I think, with him as a captain and as a leader, which is good.
Yeah, certainly Morgan over the years since 2015, he has had that single-minded. He's just ruthless when it comes to selection stuff, and also being loyal to the players that he's actually moulded, hasn't he? He has stuck with them, and he's put together a brilliant team from a team that struggled in 2015 to actually win the World Cup, and then he's now obviously all the target for all of them is the T20 next year in India, and he's going to get that right.
Exactly, and many a different person might have allowed Alex Hales to come back into the side, but because of what Hales did in terms of off-field misdemeanors, that just does not sit comfortably and is deemed totally unacceptable to the culture that Morgan's trying to bring into the dressing room. Both at T20 and 50 over white ball formats, and I for one am absolutely in agreement. Although Hales has got loads of ability, that is totally unacceptable and shouldn't be tolerated in terms of what he got up to. So, see you later, mate. And there are plenty of other people who've got talents, and give them an opportunity instead.
Yeah, I was glad to talk about giving opportunity. Haider Ali was given a final opportunity. Mahdi, for you, who would have been the stars of Pakistan this tour? I mean, the tour's now finished. They've had the 3 Test series. They lost the Test series, but they drew the T20, which finishing on a winning note is good for them.
Rizwan, we've learned the fact that we've got a wicket keeper, and in my opinion, if Rizwan can even become 50% of a keeper like MS Dhoni, it'll be fantastic for Pakistan, because we're missing a keeper batsman. You look at Sangakkara, you look at Dhoni, Gilchrist, they've all been top of the game. Pakistan, they're missing that, that feature in the team. So hopefully, we've found one, fingers crossed. Young star, same, Haider Ali. Babar Azam, it's not been the best series for him. He's not played bad, he's not played, the best. It's been average for him. Apart from that, to be honest with you, no one else. Our bowling in the Test weren't the best. Bowling in the T20 has been good. Our bowling, it's. What do you say?
No, I think the captaincy by Babar Azam wasn't that brilliant, because given the fact when Imad Wasim went for the first 2 hours was, hit all over the place, and he actually carried on with him and brought him back. And when you've got Hafeez and Shoaib, Malik, he should have bowled Malik with something or another. Then you got Shadab got hit for 48 of his 4. So after the 2 hours, when you serve, you can see that Shadab is, he's been targeted. So he brought him back on, and particularly when Moeen Ali took 19 runs off him and 20 runs were given in that over. I think that's where they're making the mistakes.
Do you think Masoos have that they should take Babar Azam off captaincy and replace him with someone else?
Well, the thing is, from first match to the last game, there has been I mean, if you can see the way he was actually acting in the field, he was better now in tonight's game, because he was actually making decisions for himself.
Yeah.
In the first 2 games, second game particularly, everybody was around him, giving him advice. So many captains in the team, everybody wanted to be a captain. And tonight, he actually looked like a captain, and he was telling, and he was very, very angry with Harris Rough with that,
That delivery, wow.
Delivery that went for 6, and he was just, even after they had won, he was still angry.
He was angry, yeah.
And
that did
that
not
is
look like a
something
winning side to me.
Well, yeah, we've seen Babar Azam calm and cool over the years and stuff, the last 2-3 years that he's actually been playing. And for him, that shows the passion. That shows the fact that he wanted to win, and that was the difference tonight. That he marshalled his troops a bit better than he did. But you're only going to learn by making mistakes and stuff.
You're
and
right.
He picked up from some of the things the other day. And certainly tonight, he proved that he's a better captain just in 3 games. He's actually learned over the 3 games that in T20s that they've actually played. And so that means, you're going to get the players to make the mistakes and learn from them. Unless you make your own decisions, then you're not going to learn. If somebody else is always being the captain, then there is nothing for him. Good luck to him.
He's got another opportunity. We've got Zimbabwe coming.
Oh yeah.
So.
Well, they get the runs with Zimbabwe.
It should be a walk in the park.
T20 record is just terrible in the sense of who they played. They played 11 against Zimbabwe. They won all 11, and sort of like against India, they've only won 1 game. Against England, I think this is the 3rd game they've actually beaten England. So the teams at the top of the ladder, Pakistan struggle against and get the runs and wins against Zimbabwe. So I'm sure they'll be welcoming Zimbabwe with open arms.
Yeah, I think you may be again being a little bit overly critical. I think that when we discussed the Test series, I think the opening bowlers, young lads, 17 and 20 years old, both deserve a lot of credit. I thought Test captaincy is, albeit very much in its infancy, looks very, very promising for the future. And you're always going to have and uncover batting talent and flair. I think your point about Rizwan is a really good one, because he'll be able to play in all formats for me, and he'll kind of be somebody you almost can build that middle order around and give your spin bowlers confidence that he'll take dismissals standing up to the wicket. But yeah, there's still some value to be had in some of those older guys, whether it be batting or bowling. But I think it's time to kind of move on. And in any organisation, whether it's sporting or otherwise, as you kind of move from one chapter to the next, you go through a transition phase where you might not get the results, but as you say, that's when you learn most about the characters in the side and who wants to do well and who wants to put themselves out there when it's most difficult and most challenging to perform at their best.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, was it Braithwaite who hit? Was it Ben Stokes in India?
Brathwaite, Carlos Brathwaite.
Carl Brathwaite. And then look at what how many of the bowlers would have just disappeared by now, and Ben Stokes has been just turned out to be a fantastic. Absolutely, it's actually almost like you just said that it's when you lose or when you're under the cosh, for them to rise up and learn from it, that shows your mental strength and your ability as a sportsman to rise to the top. And he has proved that, despite that hammering, and everybody said he lost that World Cup for India, which he did, but he's proved that he's a world-class player and match winner, and he can come through all that.
2019 was Ben Stokes,
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And yet, the backdrop was the incident which also, involved Hales, plus his father, who's still not well at all, unfortunately. But his father had been diagnosed as being very poorly about 18 months ago. So off the field, I think Stokes had a lot to contend with leading up to 2019. So it makes it even more impressive how remarkable a year he had last year. But we all know that in cricket in particular, form is very temporary. So, especially as a batsman, I mean, fortunately for Stokes, he's an all-rounder, and he's one of those talismanic characters who can make something happen in any format. But batting is something that you fail far more often than you succeed. And even someone like Morgan, Morgan is in a good vein of form again, and he had a really good World Cup last year. But previous year, he was scratching around for runs, and everyone was saying, how can you keep him in the side? Because he's not scoring enough runs, let alone at a good enough strike rate. So there's all sorts of different permutations, but it is about character. It is about dealing with those difficult times. Playing Zimbabwe and beating them easily, you don't really learn that much. Playing against Australia in Australia, playing against England in England, you learn an awful lot more, and that's where Pakistan have got to take a lot of positives.
You're right. Hopefully they learn something from this. But like you said right. They gave Ian Morgan, an opportunity. And that's the same what India done with Rohit Sharma at the start of his career. He wasn't performing. The problem with Pakistan is as soon as a batsman's not performing in the second, third game, he's dropped. So he's not given that opportunity. And when they call him back after a number of years, he's under pressure. So, how can he? And it's the same problem that we had with Umar Akmal and Ahmed Shahzad when they brought him back for this tour, Sri Lanka's tour, against the C-class team of Sri Lanka. And they were under pressure and they both made, terrible scores and they were out. But what can you do? So that's the problem with what I see with the PCB and with the rest of the cricket forms, because they give the players opportunities, whereas as soon as, pour bat in, drop him. And that's what I think.
But that used to be that used to be the case with England. I can promise you. Growing up, watching them suffer to the hands of pretty much everybody in the world, and a lot of credit should be given to Nasser Hussain really in terms of starting to rebuild the whole sort of approach to representing your country in England as a cricketer, because he was the one who brought central contracts in. But there's still gaps and there's still issues within selection within England. It's just that in white ball cricket, I think Owen Morgan has got together a really good backroom mentality that says, look, we're going to back you, and you play your natural game. If you're out, you have a trot of bad scores, so be it, because we believe in you. So that takes a lot of courage, because ultimately, they're playing a performance-related, results-oriented kind of game. And if they go through a series where they're expected to win and they lose, then everybody looks at those people who have not performed and have not lived up to expectation. And that's when pressure comes onto the selectors. But England have stuck by those players, but I can assure you that's not been the case all the time. And the West Indies are in disarray as a cricketing nation, basically because the players don't believe in their selection committee and selection policy.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, that was the case. That's always been the case with Pakistan. Unfortunately, when they pick players, they don't seem to give them that confidence that you're in for next 10 games. And I think that's the sort of thing that should be told. Once you've been brought in, say you're in for next, 10 games or 12 games, and if you struggle through them, we will keep faith with you. I think it's important. When I've actually chatted in the past with big names, even including the likes of Inzamam, Ahmed Sohail, people like that, they said when Imran was in charge, he said to them, you are playing for me in the next 10 games and you're going to win the World Cup for me. And that made the huge difference to them. The fact that, the captain had told them, no matter what, you're playing, for the next, you're going to play the next 5, 6 games or whatever it is. That just basically means that they're more relaxed. And in terms of Pakistan, sometimes the players are playing for the next game. Then they're actually playing for their place in the team rather than playing for the country or playing without fear. That thought in their mind is, oh, will I be, if I don't perform today, I won't be in the team next game. And that's not good for anybody, because you're then not performing under your best circumstances, because you're under a different pressure then.
Yeah, totally agree. And if we've talked briefly about Moeen Ali, and I'm a huge fan of his, and I'm a Worcestershire fan as a county cricketer, and he's done wonders for Worcester since moving from Warwickshire. But he's not had the best of times. He's lost his central contract as a Test player, but has been retained. I reckon almost single-handedly because Owen Morgan really believes in him. And yet, if it had been a different captain, a different management team, I don't think Moeen Ali would be playing this year, and I think he probably would have. That would have been the last of him in an England shirt. But they have stuck with him, and today he proved again what a class batsman he is. Albeit, I would question his decision making in that 19th over that led to his dismissal.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you, because I thought when I watched him the last game, when the way he was actually out, I thought that probably he won't be playing today. I really was surprised that he actually played, because, like you said, that shot he played, it's like a practice catch. It was like, here you go, I'm going inside. and his bowling wasn't up to the mark last game as well. So
Yeah.
really, and again, the belief from Ryan Morgan showed tonight that he can play. You know, he's a class act, and
Yeah.
you know, he was scratching around for runs at the beginning. He was 7, 8. He was just picking singles up, and you know, suddenly he's got 61 of 33 deliveries, which is like almost 200 strike rate, and that's phenomenal. And that is what we were saying, what you said earlier. That we always said, you know, form is temporary, class is permanent.
Yeah, and he is somebody who has definitely got a lot of class, but you know, his form has dipped over periods of time, and England have backed him, especially in more recent times, you know, represented by Owen Morgan in particular, I think.
You didn't pick me up on my predictions, lad. Have you been asleep?
No, I did. You were looking at your phone.
Oh, well, you know, I think it's a fair result in the end. I think, given the 3 games, of the first one we lost to the weather, but in terms of, you know, the 2 games, fair result. But what we all must applaud is all the players who have been playing, and particularly those that didn't get a game, for them to be in the biosecure bubble for 4 or 5 months now. Some of them have been there for ages, and Pakistan players have come here for 3 months and just not been able to play, you know, see anybody else and be away from the families and stuff. And to put on cricket in the current state of we're in, absolutely fantastic. Just hats off to everybody who's been involved in putting this series up, and also the Australians are coming up next.
Yeah, very well said, Masood. I totally agree with every word. And you know, it's good to hear players sort of show their appreciation of being given the opportunity to play, and to give thanks to the authorities, because you know, players and current players and former players are always quick to criticise the national governing bodies and the ICC or the PCB, the ECB, and so on. But without those organisers behind the scenes, this series and the West Indies series would not have happened. And you're absolutely right as well to give praise to the players for the positions they've been put in. Especially, I wouldn't say, you know, especially either the English players or the Pakistan or West Indians. I think it's hard for those players who come from home, you know, thousands of miles away, to then be locked up in a hotel environment and not be able to travel to see anybody else, let alone apart from their teammates, for 3 months or so. I think that's just as difficult, if not more so, than for the English players who've been at least, you know, within their home country. So, you know, good on all of them to have stuck by the rules put down by the ECB and the ICC and World Health, etc. Because otherwise we wouldn't have been watching any cricket on television, and your father would probably have got his wish.
Yeah, Madhi's dad would have been really happy.
Yeah, it's all right. Don't worry. There's always plenty of cricket. They'll show, you know, the highlights of the IPL or whatever. I was watching the CPL, but it's been rubbish this year. It's been rubbish, so I don't watch that as well. So let's see now. Don't worry, we got England.
You should have watched the Europe. Should have watched the first bit of cricket I watched on television earlier before the Test series was the European Cricket League. And if you think the CPL was rubbish, you should have watched a bit of that, because that was literally like me and Masood putting our whites on.
You know what?
Let's all start with that. I'll get my whites out.
It's a good thing I didn't watch that. It's a good thing.
We need to get our whites out, and we need to do a program together, me and you.
Yeah,
get you in the next, lad.
When you start wagging your finger like that, it makes me think you'd be more suited to umpiring than batting.
I know. How's that?
Out. You've got him out. You've got him out.
Yeah, listen. Do you remember Shakur Rana?
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah.
Well, I sort of like knew both of his sons. His son was part. I think he was in charge of the under-19s recently, Mansoor. So you know.
Oh right, yeah.
Yeah. There's a story to tell about Shakur Rana and Inzi, but we'll get Inzi to tell us that when he actually comes on one of our programs. Inzamam's got some fantastic stories about, you know, sharing us with when he actually in his first game for United Bank, and Shakur was the umpire. So we leave that for people to think about. You know, we're going to not give away the game at the moment. So when we'll let Inzi tell that story. Madhi, for you, good series for Pakistan and stuff, and happy?
Yeah, it's been good. It's been well. Entertainment for me. I've been looking forward, to this for around 6 months. So
We've had some fireworks around here, Jonesy. We've had plenty of fireworks.
about 2 miles away, and
Pakistan's
you
win
can hear
Friday.
it from here. That's the reason we were on pretty late.
Yeah, well, we thought
We tried coming on, but
too many sound effects.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's Pakistan series done and dusted. Australia on Friday. So predictions, lad.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a tougher tournament than perhaps people might think, because the Australians haven't played any cricket and they've travelled halfway around the world. But any time the Australians come to England, there's no more motivation than playing against the arch enemy. So I think that'll be a cracking series as well. I think it can go either way. Just as I said at the beginning of this series, I thought that two sides are closely matched, and even though England should edge it because of home advantage, I wouldn't like to go on record as to saying that that's going to be the case.
Well, the Aussies have got some youngsters, and they've got about 5 youngsters being brought over, and obviously, it's the Masters against the convicts, isn't it? You sent all them lot down there, so they're coming back to haunt you.
Yeah, I'm not going to get drawn on that, but I would say that without Root and Stokes, England are probably not quite as strong favourites as they would have been with those 2 players in the side.
well, they've got Crawley. They've got Crawley. England's got Crawley. So.
Yeah. Well, this is a T20 first.
Oh, T20. Well, 1st of September 2020. Remember, mark my words. England are going to win.
Are they going to win? Yeah.
It's tough beating England at
3-0 to England then. I'll stick to my 3-0, isn't it?
2-1. 2-1.
Yeah, I'll go with Maddie. 2-1. Yeah.
2-1.
Right. Okay. 3-0 to England. There you go. I'll be England fan from as officially now. I'm an England fan, so I'll have my England shirt up here.
Yeah, he stuck his Pakistan shirt on back there.
It's on the back, and we'll get the thing. Is the England shirt. So from
Please don't encourage him, Maddie. He doesn't need any encouragement at all. So don't give him an inch.
For your information, before we come on live, he had his Pakistan shirt on. I made him change it. I go, Uncle, look, you know what? You're gonna have to wear somewhere else. You're not wearing that. He's like, you know what? I'm too excited.
No.
Well, you should have seen him last time. He looked like the Bradfordian Mafia last time he was on. So at least he's looking a bit more like an umpire today.
Yeah.
How's that? Out and out. Thank you very much for joining us, everybody. Thank you for your contributions, Tom, and thank you, Madhi, for tonight. And we shall be back on Friday after the Australian game. Till then.
Good, thank you.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
See you later, mate.